Every person here's opinion matters. Your point of view matters. Your beliefs matter. What you support and believe in matters. And your votes are going to express how you feel and what direction you want this country to go in. Right? Right? Now more than ever. Now more than ever. Because sadly, a lot of the decisions that are being made by our government in Washington right now are going to have lasting negative effects on our environment, on our schools, on our communities. And the only way that we can change that and to stop that is to register and to vote, right? To make yourselves known. You know, the great Robert F. Kennedy. Yes, please cheer Robert F. Kennedy. One of the great stars in the firmament of the Democratic Party. He gave a speech in South Africa in 1966, and that speech was called The Ripple of Hope. And that's a powerful image, a very powerful image. When something or someone makes an impact and it ripples out and it ripples out and it ripples out into the world. Every single person in this room has that potential. Everybody here. And something that I've learned recently, actually, that I like to keep in my pocket, is this idea, this concept, that you leave everyone you meet feeling a little brighter, a little happier, and a little more inspired than when you got there. Right? Is that a good idea? Is that a concept worth exercising? And today, and for the rest of this week, moving up to next weekend, when you're canvassing, or when you're helping somebody register to vote, or you're planting the seed in somebody's mind that you can shape your own future, make sure that you're leaving them inspired and letting them know that they can make a difference. And I want to make sure that you know that you can make a difference, and the positive actions that you take can ripple out and ripple out and ripple out into the world. Everybody in this room, everybody. And for anybody here who cares about ourselves and our children and our grandchildren, that means making the people that you meet and the people behind the doors that you knock on and the people that you talk to on the streets to feel empowered and to feel inspired, not only to get out and to vote, but to get their friends and their family and their neighbors and their co-workers and the strangers to see, to get out and to register to vote and to vote and to vote and to vote. To empower themselves. Empower themselves. Now, we have somebody here today. There's somebody who's here. A guy, maybe his name rhymes with street. All right. And that person understands the challenges of working people, and the concerns of working people from places like South Bend, Indiana. And he's going to take those concerns to Washington so we can start to work on the urgent issues that this current administration created. Right? He comes from a place like you and I come from a place, and he's here to speak for those people and defend those people. So we need somebody, guys, running this country who can help fix an economy that's currently being threatened by corporate power and technology, and also to help address the global climate emergency that we're in. It's a crisis that we're in. And also we need someone who can help us repair all of our international alliances that have been ruined by the current administration. And Pete, are you sure you want to do all this? Yeah. Pete, oh, I like it. We can chant. We can chant. We're going to chant in a second. I'll give you 1 second, then we'll all chant, okay? I've had the pleasure of meeting him recently. He has actually inspired me, ladies and gentlemen, and he's left me so inspired and empowered that I came down here to Nevada to see all of you. Let's just say his name, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Pete Buttigieg!
Thank you, Keegan Michael Key, for spreading that message of empowerment. And thank you, Assembly Member Jauregui, fellow member of the Unpronounceable Surnames in Politics Club. I am honored to have you on our side, and thanks for everything you are doing to make the life better here in Nevada. You know, what she and her colleagues are doing in the Assembly demonstrates the difference that can be made in our everyday lives when you have the right leadership. And the majority Democratic, majority women Assembly here in Nevada is a message to the entire country. And thanks to everybody here for caring enough about the process and about the future to take into your hands the inordinate power and influence that comes with being a Nevada caucus goer. Because the whole country is looking at Nevada right now as we go through early voting today and on into the caucuses on Saturday. And if you were a supporter of this campaign, I want to thank you for everything you are doing to help us show, not just tell, what a different kind of politics looks like when it's based on inclusion, based on belonging, and based on a better future. Here making up their minds, and so I'm here one more time to ask you, eye to eye, for your support. I know I'm not entitled to it. I know each of us who seeks the highest office in the land has to earn and work to deserve that support, and I'm here to share the values that motivate this campaign and what I believe we can do together during our one and only chance to defeat this president. So much is on the line. So to help think about what is at stake, let me begin by inviting you to visualize for yourself the image that I hold in mind all the time that helps guide the choices we make on this campaign. And it's the image of how it's going to feel the first time that the sun comes up over the mountains in Nevada and Donald Trump is no longer the president of the United States. Me too. And so we have a responsibility to make sure that day comes about sooner rather than later. And that means building the right kind of politics and putting forward the right kind of nominee. Don't you think a president like this, who talks a big game about working people, but only ever delivers for corporations and the wealthiest, don't you think he ought to have to defend himself standing next to somebody who actually lives and works in a middle-class neighborhood in the industrial Midwest and can call him out for turning his back on workers? Don't you think a guy who likes to cloak himself in the language of religion, I mean, this guy, don't you think he ought to be challenged by somebody not afraid to call out to fellow believers and to insist that God does not belong to a political party and this country belongs to people of every religion and no religion equally? Don't you think a president whose idea of patriotism includes pardoning war criminals and punishing war heroes ought to have to defend himself standing next to an American war veteran who can explain why traumatic brain injury is a lot more serious than bone spurs? This is the campaign that will defeat Donald Trump. But it's not about me. It's not even about him. It's about us. It's about how we can put together a different kind of politics. We are confronting the most disruptive president in modern times. That means we've got to meet it with something different. We can't just fall back on the familiar. We can't turn to the same Washington playbook, because if Washington were delivering for Americans, a guy like Donald Trump never would have got within cheating distance of the Oval Office in the first place. We need something new. And we've got to call everybody into this vision. Democrats for sure, but we're also reaching out to independents. We're even reaching out to what I like to call future former Republicans, who are very welcome to join us in this movement. If a political vision that says that you're either for a revolution or you got to be for the status quo, if you don't see where you fit between those two choices, this campaign is for you. Because the American people know that's a false choice. And the best thing we have going for us is that there is an American majority right now ready to make sure that we deliver the changes we need. Not just a majority that can agree on who we're against, that we need a better president than the one we got right now, but on what we are for. And we're going to need that more than ever, because the next president will face issues we weren't even thinking of just a few years ago. Cybersecurity threats and global health security challenges. And right here at home, an economy changing with gig work and technology. This is a time to leave the politics of the past in the past and build a better vision that unites that American majority that knows what we're for. We are for making sure that workers are empowered, that wages rise, and that one job is enough in the United States of America. We are for a vision of patriotism that understands that supporting our troops includes making sure that we end endless war and do not ask them to serve in a conflict that could have been avoided. We are for acting in our time to make this a country where your race has no bearing on your health or on your wealth or on your experience with law enforcement. We must act now, all of us, to bring that about. We are for an immigration system that actually matches our values as well as our laws. And we are for a future in this country where everybody belongs. Y a los soñadores que están aquí, les apoyamos y sabemos que este país es tu país también. This country belongs to all of us. This is our opportunity to deliver on the priorities we share. We already know that the time has come to see to it that there's no such thing as an uninsured American in the United States of America. And when we build our healthcare future, it will be one where it is as acceptable and normal to seek help for substance use or mental health issues as it is for any physical problem. In America, where we know that investing in our future means supporting our educators and backing them up with a Secretary of Education who actually believes in public education and supports our teachers. This is our chance. So let's make sure we get this right, because so many people are counting on us. Not just every voter that I talk to, but people I meet who aren't even old enough to vote. An 11-year-old who came to an event like this stuck his hand up to ask about prescription drug affordability. And at first I thought, this is an emerging healthcare policy buff. Wow. Well, it was a smart kid, but the reason he was asking was it was personal. The reason he was asking was he was worried about being able to afford the insulin that he needs. He's worrying about this when he should be free to concentrate on being 11. 13-year-old who let me know that she asked for a bulletproof backpack for Christmas. I didn't even know there was such a thing. She can't wait for us to act to see to it that the Second Amendment is never again used as an excuse to do nothing at all on common sense gun legislation that would save American lives. And when I meet a 10-year-old who came to one of my events and politely reminded me that he's expecting to be here in the year 2100, and we'll be looking back on the decisions we make right now, and whether that created a climate that he and his future kids and grandkids could live in and thrive in, they can't wait for us to act on climate and lead the world on doing something about climate change before it's too late. This is our chance. This is our time. That's the opportunity in front of us, and that, I believe, is why the presidency exists, to bring the American people together in facing our toughest challenges. Don't let somebody tell you that you got to either choose between following your head or following your heart, that there's one path that leads to governing well and a different path that leads to winning big. We have to do all of those things together, and that's what the presidency is about. This is why I'm asking for your support. I'm not running for this office because I got it into my head one day that I'd like to occupy it. I'm running for this office because I believe the presidency has a purpose. And the purpose of the American presidency is not the glorification of the president. It is the empowerment and the unification of the American people to do these big things together. That is why I'm asking for your support. So our numbers have grown just a little bit since I first started turning up in coffee shops around Las Vegas. But still, I believe in dialogue over monologue. So we've gathered up questions from folks as you were coming in, and we put them in the famous fishbowl. And to guide and lead our conversation, I'd like you to welcome back to the stage Keegan-Michael Key one more time.
Here I am. I'm back, everybody. Wasn't that amazing? Boot Edge Edge. Amazing. All right, guys, I've come back to do a little Q&A with Mayor Pete. And we're going to address some of the questions that you guys are asking. And I'm using the tried true fishbowl method. So I will randomly grab some comments out of here and see what we can get going here. All right, 1 second. You ready, Pete?
Let's do it.
All right. It's not like a lightning round. You can take a little bit of time. You know, we're all here. Okay. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put this one down here. I got a twofer here, so I'm gonna keep that one for later too. Okay, here we go. First question, everybody. With how much trouble politicians have with admitting a fault, can you talk on a time you've made a mistake in office and how you change it, and how you'd handle such things as President of the United States? Great question. Mistakes.
Great question. Well, every decision you make is an opportunity to look back and learn how to do it better. And in particular, in our city, when we face challenges around racial justice and policing, we had several situations come up, especially in my first year, that caused a tremendous amount of pain. And I was laser focused on making sure that we did the right thing legally.
Yeah.
And I didn't always hear the voices of those who were talking about the story behind the story. I was making sure that we were crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. I was a data guy. Yeah, I thought about things that we could measure. I didn't have a way to measure the pain that was behind the relationship, in particular of black residents in our city, and the police department sworn to keep them safe. and learned through dialogue, through listening, and through people telling me things I wasn't always prepared to hear. How to do better about making sure we weren't just finding the technical solutions on issues like policing, but building the trust that is needed in order to keep a community safe.